LeBron does stand alone when it comes to having this particular record. And if he plays a few more years, I'll be honest with you guys, nobody thought Kareem's record would be broken. It took 40 years. If he plays a few more years, I don't know if anybody breaks this. But, Mike, here's what the radio call sounded like in L.A. When LeBron broke the record. This is Lakers radio.
Westbrook with it. Give it to LeBron at the right elbow. LeBron, one-on-one against Kenrick Williams, backing him in. Turns, shoots, scores! There it is! All hail the new king in town! Young and old, gather round from one iconic Laker to another.
Both great calls. Kareem was in attendance. Who wasn't in attendance last night, by the way?
Yeah, Phil Knight was there, and they had some really great images. And it's nice to see Phil Knight not be one of the people not using a camera phone. Like, be there in the moment. Because there'll be photos of the shot, and there'll be better shots than what you took with your camera. But anyway, everybody up there, it's like when musicians, every time I read somebody say, nothing like performing in front of phones. Yeah. But in the case last night, it was unbelievable. And Kareem was sitting there baseline right in front of him as he hits that jump shot. And by the way, I just finished reading during the commercial break. It's Substack is the website where people can publish articles and such. But Kareem wrote a really interesting article that's out there too, by the way. And if I can find a way to put the link up, I will. But it talks about what I think about LeBron breaking my NBA scoring record. It's a really well written because it's Kareem. He's a brilliant guy, but it's a really interesting piece.
Yeah, I'll say this about Kareem, and then if we can, all right. And I say this because I know each and every one of you feel differently about whether or not LeBron should be considered the greatest player. And Mike and I have gone back and forth over the last 7 or 8 years about this in a fun way, just like with your boys or, you do with family members. And, you feel how you feel, and I feel how I feel. But I don't think there's any wrong answers. Here's the deal. When you talk about, and if I asked you just generally speaking, hey, greatest player in NBA history, LeBron's going to be out of your mouth pretty quickly. Okay, it's not like you're going to be having to wait 10 minutes before you get to him. So if you told me that was the case and it was Mike and LeBron and Kareem, and in my case, those are the three best, okay? And I'll explain this Kareem thing in a minute. But those are the three guys, and then everybody else kind of falls in wherever you want to put them. And I love Kobe. I'm a Kobe diehard. I'm a Mamba guy. But, I put him after these guys now simply because of what LeBron has been able to accomplish. But, Mike, we'll see if we can grab a couple of phone calls. 404-741-0929. I said I want to hear from you guys because this is one of those moments that translates in across sports, okay? And the reason is it's not our team. We're not cheering on LeBron here, but you may not see this again in your lifetime. Again, it's been 40 years. We may be another 50 years before somebody even comes close. And to put this in context, Luka, pretty good score. Luka needs to average 28 points in 70 games a season between now and 2038. And that just gives him 40,000 points. So I don't know if he's going to do that. I'll tell you this. I don't think Luka takes care of his body like LeBron. LeBron he has a physique that you have to appreciate after all these years how he's taking care of his body. I don't know if Luka takes care of his body like that. So you add in all those factors of what you have to go through and the luck you have to have, Mike, to even get to this point. Luka has to average 28 in 70 games. That means he's playing 70 a year between now and 2038 just to get to 40,000 points. It's unbelievable to believe that somebody might reach this.
Yeah.
All right.
And Luka's a guy also, as you mentioned, he's admittedly had some issues with the weight. That's something he's got to control and take care of it. But LeBron, as we said yesterday, never put a foot wrong. I mean, the only thing people have a hang-up over is the decision, and the decision raised money for millions of dollars for the Boys and Girls Club. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's all that terrible a decision. It just seemed strange because no one had ever done it like that at the time. But everything else, it's interesting because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he writes, to be the all-time scorer and be considered the greatest player, you got to not be selfish too. And LeBron has facilitated and he's dominated. That's one of those things which just bring it back to the Hawks. All the true great players know when it's time to get the other guys involved and when they say, stand back, I got this. And I think sometimes, which for some people like me, which kind of clouded LeBron's legacy at the time, was the big three when he acquiesced to Dwayne Wade because he went to Dwayne Wade's team. But once they figured that out, obviously they're off and running. The thing that really impressed me most is when LeBron goes back to the land and gets that championship for Cleveland. And to me, that was kind of one that silenced all the critics.
We can only, and I don't, but we can, if the only thing you can criticize is a life decision that he made that he thought was best for him, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I said I think the reason, if anybody's still hung up on that,
It's pretty damn
it's
good.
water under the bridge, and it was just it was different because no one had done it like that at the time.
And that's the thing, Mike. I mean, he's revolutionized so many things. Player empowerment, and we're joking about Landry Fields and our Hawks.
But true player empowerment.
But true player empowerment, that's LeBron.
Right.
That's all LeBron. All this stuff you see now with short deals and I'm going where I want to go, that's all LeBron. He completely changed the league in that sense. All right, 404-741-0929. I was simply going to say this about Kareem. Mike, I don't think he gets his due. You're right, he is brilliant and, well-read, has always been this unique kind of personality. But I don't think he gets his due. I mean, he's got 6 chips. Mike has 6. He's got 5 MVPs in the finals. Mike has that. He played 20-plus years and was the most dominant player in the league. On top of that, he had a shot that no one could defend. On top of that, he was the most dominant college player in the history of the game, 88-2 in college. He changed college basketball, Mike, because when they played in the Astrodome in 68, nobody had ever done that. Now you can't even get a Final Four unless you have a stadium capacity of 60-plus thousand. All of that stuff, you fast forward to what the NCAA does now, that's all Kareem. So now when I think, last night he passes this torch, I don't know if we give him his due and how damn good he was. And I know it's a different time and a digital age, but man, he did it all. And, oh, by the way, was the all-time leading scoring leader for 38 or 39 years.
The other thing also is, and again, if you don't care about anything off the court, this doesn't have anything for you. But for most of us, what does the guy do off the floor? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was, the epitome of class. He's also the guy who was involved in social issues from the time he was at UCLA all the way through his adult life in the NBA. He didn't shy away from it. No. Now, the other thing is because he was, that person, and the media was racist because it was in the 60s and 70s and mid parts of the 80s, that he alienated some of the media, so he didn't get the love. That's why when you and I have these conversations, it might be Kobe, but it's usually Michael or LeBron. Kareem don't even get the love, which is crazy. And the other part of this, too, is I never saw Oscar Robertson, but my old man swore that's the greatest basketball player that ever dressed out. And my dad got to see Jordan, too. My old man was a bigger hoops fan than I was. Every generation's got their guys. But when you do get into this guy or that guy, the points total does kind of take the argument into that guy's corner. And certainly that's hard to come back from, although I'm still an MJ guy. LeBron has done everything the right way. Has he been a guy who's maybe the man of his times, the way athletes interact with other athletes, social media, the way guys, it's not the killer mentality that maybe it was in the 70s or 80s, but it's the way things are done this era, which I don't think he should be faulted for. And sometimes I think some guys like me in the past have said, he's not like Michael. Michael was a killer, but it's a different generation.
Mike, all of that is valid. I love what you're saying right now. I do, man, because it's so true about Kareem, the media, the approach, how he wasn't accepted in some areas and facets of society because of his stance on things. And, oh, by the way, he was on the right side of a lot of that stuff.
Right.
He was on the right side of a lot of that stuff.